This is the newest addition to our family. This is Radagast the Brown. Little Rad's adopted us, actually. He was a stray that kind of came around and decided he wasn't going to leave. He's very friendly. We took him in, and here he is. So say hello to Radagast the Brown, the new channel mascot. Thank you for turning to page 121. Today is kind of a special episode. I'm going to be unboxing Smaug from Lord of the Rings. This is a McFarlane piece that my player Roy gave us. He gave it to me, but he said it's for the group. And I thought it'd be fun to unbox this and take a look at what you get inside. This is a very nice looking figure. It's brand new. It's readily available. Roy gave this to me about a week ago. So we're going to go ahead and pull it out of the box and take a look at it. And then I'm going to turn it over to the best toy expert I live with, my son Patrick, who's been assembling and disassembling his toys since he was 4. And he's going to show us some tips on how to safely assemble this guy and keep him nice and unbroken while we use him at the table. So here we go. First off, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the tools Pat will be using. I'm going to use some of them. He's got a set of tweezers. He's got a clipper. And he's got a nice razor knife. What do you call these guys? Razor knife?
Exacto knife.
Exacto knife. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and open the box itself. I'm going to do that. Patrick considers it bad etiquette for someone else to open a figure unless you're the owner. So I have said no problem, and I will go ahead and open this guy. And then he'll take it from there. There's one. There's two. Take a look. Oh, I'll show the back of the box too, I guess. There's the back of the box. And then the side. The other side. The bottom. May as well see the whole box, right? And there's the top. This guy is readily available right now, and he retails for about $50. As I said, this guy is brand new. It's readily available. Retails for about $50. So this was actually a very nice gift from my player Roy. We do this a little bit here and there. It's not a regular thing with us, but we will give each other little holiday gifts if it seems appropriate. And this guy is certainly going to be nice on our table. Okay, I cannot get the back open. There we go. Look at that. I pulled the flap out all by myself. Patrick did not come over and do that. Okay, here we go. Lift the lid up and take a look at what we get. I've been really excited about opening this guy. It's been hard to resist. I've had him for a week or so. And then we pull him out of the box. This guy looks so cool. Here is Smaug himself. And a fine base that I'll be cutting out, and a little information packet about him as well. We'll take a look at all that. So there is Smaug. At this point, wow, he smells factory new, doesn't he? At this point, I'm going to turn things over to Patrick. Patrick is my oldest son. He's one of the players of our game. He's known Roy since your whole life. Yeah?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. No, Roy started playing with us about 97. So Patrick was 6 when Roy started coming around. Fun fact, my buddy Roy looks a lot like the guy who played Captain Gordon in Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. No, not Destroy All Monsters. In Godzilla Final Wars. I always do that. And for a long time, both my boys thought he was that actor, Don Fry, because he does look and sound a lot like him. But here I go. I'll turn things over to Patrick, and take it away, Pat.
All right, so first impressions here, I got to say, Smaug is just beautiful. The attention to detail all along this figure is really good. I'll show you more of that once he's actually out of the box. And I'll show you an up close once I get the beautiful base of his wonderful treasure hoard out. That is absolutely phenomenal. The trading card too, I'm anxious to see that one. So I'm going to take that out, and then we're going to take a look at Smaug himself. All right. Okay, so I've got the base out now, and looking at this, it's beautiful. You can see here something that really impressed me, right by where my thumb is. That's the Arkenstone, the heart of the mountain itself. Right there. That is wonderful attention to detail. All the golden coins, with which, of course, he would not part a single one. And the trading card that comes with him. Also a very nice touch, which I did not expect. There's a little bio on the back. Okay, now we're going to take a look. We're going to put these off to the side for right now. Just one more look at the base. And we're going to take a look at getting Smaug himself out.
Now, how easy was it to take the base out of the packaging?
Taking the base out of the packaging, I can actually show you the packaging. It's real easy. You just got to pull it, separate it from the cardboard backing itself. Make sure you don't damage the trading card up in the top right corner there. But it's real easy. The glue that was used on here was easy to tear off, no damage whatsoever.
So if I was careful with that, I'd be able to store it, the base, back in the packaging.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I didn't pull it off completely.
Okay.
All right, looking at Smaug, he is positioned with packaging above his wings. So you can see here that he's held down with a twist tie at his tail, the base of his tail, and right around his neck. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to cut the easy one, because cutting that wire is the quickest way. Cut it right here. And I always like to cut it where there's a lot of slack, so that you're not pulling it taut and risking any kind of minor paint damage or any actual cosmetic damage to the figure itself.
Could I cut that from the back, or should I go from the front?
You could, but looking at it from the back, they're pretty tied up. I mean, on this figure, you actually could. In fact, for his neck, I'm probably going to do that.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot of strain that's going to be put there, but you can see on the tail, you can see where the two ends meet the plastic. That is going to be more difficult to cut from the back.
And if I pulled that too taut, could I damage the paint?
In theory. More than likely you won't, but why risk it? Especially when clipping it from the front is like easy just like that.
I have to be careful with the clippers, though, not to mar the paint with that, correct?
Yes. Okay, now I'm going to do just like I said. Hope that he doesn't fall out. I'm going to clip the upper wings. That also secures his neck. Okay. Pull these. Just loosen them a little bit and then get the great worm out. Okay. Look at that.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Right off the bat. Take a look here. Get a nice look at Smaug himself before we put his wings on. Tail turns, that's a nice feature.
That's beautiful.
That is a very beautiful figure. Very nicely detailed. I love the vibrant red and the very dark black. Here's his underbelly. Very nice look to him. All right. Now, move this piece of plastic, set that off to the side, and pull out. This is his left wing. That'll attach like that.
So, oh, okay, the top slot, and then...
Yep, and then the bottom slot there, and then the peg here in his hand goes into the base.
Okay.
So, attaching him to the base once he's fully assembled may be a little bit difficult, but I have some tricks for that as well. Been doing this a long time. The right wing, you can see, is the same way, and it'll just slot in there.
Okay.
Nice and easy.
I love the fingers on the
Yes, very, very nice. And these wings, the plastic they used is soft plastic, which is nice for wings like this. As an avid collector of King Ghidorah figures, I can tell you it's hard to get dragon wings that are soft plastic and still hold their shape. A lot of times they're made of hard plastic, and that just risks damaging the figure completely when you're taking it right out of the box.
Is Smaug hollow or is he solid?
He is, from everything I can tell, solid.
Okay.
In fact, looking at the peg there, yeah, he's solid.
Okay.
His wings are too. Wings are one solid molded piece. Very, very nice. Absolutely beautiful detail. They both look leathery and just absolutely massive.
I was thinking leathery.
Yeah. Not unlike a bat's wings. So we'll get rid of that packaging. We'll take a look really quick. Just a dry fit of what he's going to look like. Something along those lines from the top down.
Okay.
And then we'll attach him to his base, attach his wings, and be good to go.
Now, will you need to use any kind of heat to get this guy to relax enough to put the wings in?
Yes, and we'll get to that in a minute. The way I like to do it is a hot water method, particularly with figures like this, because water is not going to damage a figure like this. I found that it's better than a hairdryer, but you can use whatever means you like. My methods are not for everybody. These are just the methods I've found work best for me.
What are the pros and cons of using a hairdryer?
All right, so pros and cons of using a hairdryer to heat a figure like this. I've found in the past, heating figures with a hairdryer, you don't get the level of control that you kind of want. Like, okay, heating him with a hairdryer here, this is also not going to get the body as hot. So the pegs aren't going to expand enough to get the wings in a near perfect attachment.
So your goal is to try to get them tight enough that you really don't have a seam there, right?
Exactly. And that way, yeah, no seam, no little peg sticking out. You don't want to see light coming through his wing and I can already tell looking at this wing itself needs to be bent a little bit. So putting that in hot water is going to free it up and become nice and malleable so that when I do slot it in, it'll just fit like a hot knife through butter.
So away to the sink?
I think so.
Okay. Well, we're going to the sink to fill it with hot water. We're at the sink.
All right, so to start, I realize this is not Smaug, but it's another fire breather. Princess Azula, this is a figure with multiple joints that I've been meaning to put in hot water for a long time now. You can see just by bending it, her legs don't want to bend, her arms don't want to bend. The reason I'm using this is because it's the same brand as Smaug. They're both McFarlane figures. McFarlane, of course, makes the Avatar: The Last Airbender line and the wonderful Dragons line from where this Smaug is from. And this, of course, back to Smaug, the star of the show. So I'm going to get some hot water in here. I'm going to start with Azula to just kind of demonstrate on a figure to show that I know what I'm doing here.
And just for point of reference, our hot water tank is set for around 120 degrees. That will be enough to burn your hands, so do this very carefully. Yes. Do not leave your hands immersed. They will burn. This is experience talking.
Very much experience talking.
Yep. When the boys were young, I used to keep it about 110, but now that we're all grown, I keep it right around 120. So this is 120 degree water we're dealing with.
Okay, so I'm going to move it over. Just get Azula in the heat, and I'll show you what I mean by loosening up the joints, and then you'll see what I mean, showing that it's much easier to attach the wings to Smaug's body doing it this way on a figure like this than it will be with a hairdryer.
And the hot water running directly on it's not going to hurt the figure in the paint job?
Nope. Because all these figures are treated, they're seal coated. It's not going to damage anything. Okay. So I'll leave that sit for a second. And I'm going to get another one of my tools of my trade, a lovely slotted spoon.
My wife absolutely loves when the boys come out here and do this.
Pull it out. And I showed you before what the joints looked like, and now you can see, look at that. Look at how easy that is.
Now, will they stay loose like that?
They will stay loose like that forever once you bend them, and no damage to the figure. Trust me, I have a lot of this Princess Azula figure. I've done it with every single one of them and encountered absolutely no problems whatsoever. I say that as this arm is giving me trouble. Oh, I'll work on that some other time. Oh, I was just bending it the wrong angle.
Oh,
that's on me.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Nice and easy.
And all
waist-still
for
bend.
a few seconds immersion in
Yep.
hot water.
And again, to demonstrate how wonderful these McFarlane figures actually are. I've been a long-time collector of McFarlane figures since the early days of their Alien vs. Predator line, and I can tell you they've come a long way since the early 2000s.
I bought you those. A couple of those were broken coming out of the package.
Yes, they were. Still have them.
Yep.
So here goes Smaug. I'll leave him sit a little bit longer, and I got to get a little bit more hot water in here to make sure he's covered completely. This is not going to hurt any of the barbs or spikes or anything that are on his tail or on his head. If anything, it's going to help them because you can see one of the spikes on his neck was actually bent. It's going to make it want to return to its original shape before they put it in the packaging. Once it's in the hot water for a few minutes and after it dries and cools off, it'll return to normal and it'll look perfect.
Now, if I went ahead and got distracted after running the hot water and walked away for half an hour and came back, what would the result be?
Well, with the water cooling down, you're going to have to heat it up again if you want everything to fit properly.
So this has to be a one and done.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this like this. I'm going to leave Smaug sit for a little bit longer than I did Azula because his body is more solid and he doesn't have any parts that are meant to move. I'm going to start with the, what is this? His left wing first. That's got to go in the water. Ordinarily, I wouldn't put it in the water, but this part here that connects to the body has to be more malleable so that it can fit properly into the slots.
So you're actually going to have to mold it to the body.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'll put the other one in while I'm doing it too, because this should not take that long.
Now, this is a solid figure. Can you do this with hollow figures?
You can. I've done it with, I'm an avid collector of Godzilla, and I've done it with the 6-inch Bandai vinyl figures. Those are completely hollow. I've had no issues whatsoever with any of these figures, whether they're hollow, solid. The only things I don't recommend doing, and I found this out the hard way, anything with soft goods, that means actual cloth capes or tunics or any cloth editions, and of course die-cast or metal. The capes on the soft goods figures, they turn out crispy, and the die-cast or metal, that'll rust over time and that'll actually just destroy your figure, so don't do that. But any of the standard plastic figures, and I'll show you in a second here, you can see he's moving around on his own now.
Yeah,
his tail's undulating on its own.
Yeah.
And we're going to slot make sure it measures up. It should be pretty quick. I want to make sure I got it on camera here.
Yep. Okay. Takes a little bit of elbow grease to get it in there.
But that's also good.
That means it's a snug fit.
Yep. I got to put... Actually, I got to pop that off. I got to leave him sit a little bit longer. That's a very solid figure. So what I'll do is I'll leave it like that so the water can get in.
Okay.
I'll leave it like that for another second. That is one drawback to a very solid figure like this, is slotting the wings or arms or what have you in is going to be a little bit more difficult because they're so solid, they're so thick.
Is it ever necessary to trim the peg to get it to go in?
I've never had to since I've started doing the hot water method.
Okay.
So we're going to try this again. The other problem is, he gets a little slippery. So forcing it like I'd ordinarily be able to, but this spares you having to buy another figure.
I see it going in, yep. It's not uncommon for us to come home and find the kitchen counter full of figures who have been parboiled while my wife and I were out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one slot does not want to go in. So I may have to pop this whole thing off. I'll try it with the other wing first. Let me see, make sure I can get the wing back off. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to force it, and we're going to have to hope for the best. This is not what I wanted to demonstrate, but it shouldn't be too difficult to get the wing off.
So this is a figure that once it's assembled, it's pretty much not going to go back in the box.
Yeah, you're going to want to throw the box out from this guy. All right. So we got the one wing on. We got his left wing. Now we're going to do the same thing with his right wing. Once again, we're going to hope for the best.
Now, this is kind of risky. You got to be careful with these. You can't get too strong on them.
Especially with your more delicate figures. These are made of a very durable plastic, so overall it's going to be fine. But if you're an avid collector who has very specific, desires or anything like that, how you want your figures to look, you're not probably going to want to try this, and whatever method you use, hair dryer or otherwise, is probably going to work best for you. Again, this is the method I have found in my action figure collecting that works best for me, but I collect a lot of figures like Masters of the Universe, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Godzilla, figures that won't be harmed by doing any kind of method like this, and as you can tell, neither was Smaug.
Now, when I'm squeezing it on like that, I have to be careful of the legs and the parts of the wings that might bend or come off if I get too rough with the figure. Correct?
Yes, the good news is with this figure, the legs are so small, sorry, out of the shot there, so small and stubby that whatever pressure you put on them, they're just going to go back to normal, and they're made out of a softer material, so they're not going to break off more than likely.
But you can't go to all Gorilla Town on this.
No, and don't use any tools like pliers or a wrench or any crazy thing, no hammers, anything like that, because obviously that will damage the figure. Now, what's nice about this method is once he cools off, this is all going to cool around itself, and it's going to look a lot better. They're not going to be removable unless you heat them up again, but that's what you want. They don't fit exactly slotted. You can see through it there.
Bit. Yep, I see
but that is not because of this method. That is because of the joint they use to attach the wings. It's one piece going through his shoulders. So when you're pushing on one side, it's pushing out the other.
Okay.
So that's just a manufacturer design. I'm not going to say problem. Just look out for that if you buy this figure.
Okay. When we were off camera and Patrick was pushing the one wing in, we could actually see the shoulder joint on the other side coming out. So you want to be very careful that you add even pressure on this. You don't want it to go crazy.
Now, here's the base again. Again, I love this base.
That is
It's absolutely
a nice base.
beautiful.
I like that too.
There's no stickers or anything on it. This is all painted on. Again, beautiful. Here's the back side. You can hear that. That's very thick, very
solid,
thin, solid plastic. It's harder than Smaug is. So putting him into this, I am going to put it in the hot water because a hairdryer is not going to get this kind of plastic as hot as I like to slot him in properly. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pegs that have to fit into these holes. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop that in for a couple minutes. Now, it's going to float, but because it's in the heat, it's not going to be an issue.
Okay. And again, you got to be careful that this plaque is part of the mold itself and painted on, not a sticker.
Most of the time these days, any plaques like that are going to be actually painted on, or any other method usually other than a decal or a sticker these days, unless you're looking for an actual model kit. So we're going to see, this is going to be a little bit difficult to do on camera, but I'll do what I can. You can hear it already.
Yep.
Driving home.
We're going to do some nice shots after the base is on, show you everything.
Trying to get it on camera so you guys can see as much as I can here. And he's got little clasps on the bottom of the base. You can see that I'm trying to not put too much pressure on, because those will snap off. I have a lot of experience with that. But thanks to the hot water method, he's on there already, nice and solid. Okay. One foot that's giving me a bit of an issue. There it goes. It just went home.
Drop him down.
I'll show you.
So
sorry about that.
Just hold him by Smaug himself and show that the base is on. There you go. So this is going to be used on our gaming table, and it's important for us, first off, the scale is fantastic, and second, that the base stays on, because as we're playing and moving things, I don't like when bases drop off. So one of the reasons I've actually been reluctant to get into this kind of model, but I can see that Roy made a phenomenal choice on this.
Yes, he did.
Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. This is an absolutely beautiful figure. I have one other of the McFarlane Dragons line. It's Undead Viserion from Game of Thrones. That was out. I bought it, I think, 5 or 6 years ago at Target. And that's the other great thing. These figures can be bought, typically, can be bought at Target or anywhere that sells collectibles. I've not come across them at Walmart, but every Walmart's different.
And I know this retails for about $50. Roy was kind of coy with us and wouldn't tell us what he spent, but that's prerogative when you give a gift. You said something about the weak spot. If anybody knows the story of Smaug, Bowman hits him in his one weak spot, an area not covered by the treasure that's kind of melded into his skin. And the weak spot is...
It's right along here, right along these scales. It's kind of a little bit hidden now, but I found it before. It was just
there you go.
Underneath here.
And in the novel, that's where Bowman's one arrow goes home and kills Smaug. In the film, of course, they use a
big ballista, and it's this whole production with a kid, which, well, we won't get into that.
Yes. So there you have it. We're going to take him back downstairs, and we'll do some sweetheart shots to show you exactly what he looks like.
The other thing I want to add before we close this segment is I don't use any other method to dry these after the hot water other than air dry, because you don't want to use a hair dryer because that defeats the purpose of what you just did. This way it cools at the same rate, and everything is going to correctly align as you want it to, as it was designed by the manufacturer too.
So as the pegs relax into the hole, they'll actually just fit tighter.
Yep. And you can see these spikes,
yep,
more malleable, and once I pull them up a little bit, they're holding their original intended shape.
There you go. Okay, we'll go downstairs again, and we'll set it up on the table, and we'll see what he looks like with some figures in the shot. So here we have Smaug in all his glory. We've put a few fire effect pieces that Patrick had, including his mouth. He's breathing fire, and that fire is from what?
This fire piece does not come with the figure, but it's from Fire Lord Ozai from the McFarlane Avatar The Last Airbender set. And the other fire effect pieces and explosions around him are Tamashii Nation's Bandai.
And I put in a couple of figures just to show the scale. Here is a Reaper Miniatures Giantess. And this is
Reaper.
This is Reaper also, but it's a metal one. That's Lord Skeletor, Patrick's character. This is an old figure. This is my character, Kirk. 25 millimeter figure. And then a Storm Giant that Mike painted up for us. So there you have it. So that gives you an idea of the scale that we're dealing with.
I think it's perfect scale for
beautiful.
Any kind of D&D miniatures you're going to be using.
This scales up beautifully with all that stuff. So I'm very pleased. Roy, thank you again. I really appreciate the addition to our table. Patrick, thank you for taking some time.
Move that out of there so you can see the nameplate again.
The nameplate. There you go. And Patrick, thank you for taking the time to show how to safely assemble this guy.
Of course.
It was not something I wanted to do. I was happy you did it. But that's all we got today from page 121. So thank you to Roy, and thank you to Patrick for the help in the video. And everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on page 121.